All right, just want to thank everyone for joining us. If you have a question for Coach, we'll go right to questions. Send me a message in chat, and we'll get started.
Yeah, we'll just open up for questions. Congratulations to Michigan on keeping the little brown jug. Played really well, really good football team, and we got a lot of work to do. So we'll open it for questions.
Again, send me a message in chat if you have a question.
They can't just ask them?
John Krasinski, go ahead. Sorry, Coach. We'll go with John Krasinski.
Hey, PJ,
Hi, John.
Wondering if how much of the losses that you had on the offensive line affected what you were able to do, especially in the passing game down the field in the first half tonight?
It's a combination. No excuses whatsoever. I mean, it's 2020. Everybody's playing with what you have. Some have it worse than others, but there's no excuses whatsoever. Those are two guys that have started last year. They're not there. That's hard, but the other guys got to step in and step up. The way we're recruiting and how we're recruiting, I mean, the program's going like that. But you still got to be able to create that depth, and I still think we're a year away from that type of depth where if two linemen go down, you can fill two linemen. I mean, remember 3 years ago, we only had 4 linemen on the team. And the way that we recruit, it's going to take a while to be able to get that. Now, we had it with 5 or 6 guys last year. Like that was, and we stayed healthy. And that's the key to it. And if we didn't, we had one other guy that could sub in, and we were good with 5. And for the year, we had 5. Well, when you lose 2 of those, right, and you sit there and look at who's next, and then you lose another guy who gets hurt, other guys got to step in and go. No excuses whatsoever, though. We got to be better.
All right, thank you, Coach. Let's go to Andy Greeter, St. Paul Pioneer Press.
PJ, defensively, did you feel like it was schemed? Did you feel like it was personnel, especially on the ground?
I think it was a combination. Here's why. When I told you guys earlier that, about 60% you kind of know what they're going to do, 40% you don't know what they're going to do. It was complete opposite. About 40% of what we knew they were going to do, 60%, they went to all 2-back stuff. I don't know if you saw that, right? You got a true freshman linebacker right there. You got a bunch of other freshmen or redshirt freshmen who haven't played a ton of football yet. You got people on the back end who haven't played a ton of football yet at the safety position that are filling holes, filling gaps. And it was hard. I think some guys were trying to do somebody else's position at times, but we didn't tackle well. And, when we did fit it, they somehow sprung out of it. But we'll look at the film. But there's a lot of inexperience and youth on that side. Again, not an excuse. We just have to be able to coach it better. And it starts with me. We got to get it better. And I know we will as we continue to go through the year.
Let's go to Chip Scoggins, Star Tribune.
PJ, can you take us through what happened to all your punters and kickers there?
Yeah, I'm not going to get in specifics of why they missed the game, but you can probably imagine. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hit the specialists pretty hard, and they hit them at different times. This is if somebody ever tests positive, they got to be out 3 weeks, so they could be a week apart, 3 days apart, 2 weeks apart, but it still gets you for 3 weeks. When you're talking about your first-team kicker, third-team kicker, and then you're talking about your second-string kicker just had sports hernia surgery, and he's not really necessarily full go, so we couldn't kick full go unless it was under a certain amount of yardage for field goals. And then kickoffs, we had to do what we could with them. And then your punter has it. Your kickoff guy has it. That's hard. That's why there's certain decisions made that maybe people agree with, maybe they don't agree with, but at the time, they seemed like the best decision. I mean, we had a 14-yard punt at one point, and then you got to make decisions. I think that we were playing catch-up, Chip. It was 7-0 and 7-7. Then it was 14-7. Then we had the penalty on the 1-2 yard line. Then it went to 14-10. Then it went to 21-10. Then we went to 21-17. Then they went to 28-17. We weren't stopping anybody. And at the time, that's when I sat there and said, well, we better fake a punt because the other one didn't go very far. So I either give him the ball at the 50 or we take a shot and give him at the 35. And we didn't execute it well enough. It was there, I felt, but I didn't think we executed it well enough. So, again, it's a difficult challenge, but everybody has challenges in 2020. And I didn't handle the challenges well enough. Simple as that.
Let's go to Dave Campbell, Associated Press.
PJ, on the fake, was that also a way to maybe take some pressure off your defense if you're going to be able to convert and just be able to keep them out the field a little bit.
100%. It's exactly why you call it. Going into the situation, you didn't know what was going on, but I knew what was going on, and you're constantly debating what you're going to do, and you let everybody evaluate, or you go through the first few series and you evaluate the talent and see what's going on, and at that particular time, I felt it was a perfect call because it was 28-17. If you get them the ball back and they score, it's 35-17, and that's exactly what happened. But if we punted it, that's how I felt. And if we faked it, then the worst-case scenario is going to be 35-17 if the punt didn't go very far. So that's why I called it. I think we had a really good look for it. I haven't seen it from above, but we'll have to be able to correct that. And, again, good call if it works, horrible call if it doesn't work. So we'll call it a horrible call.
Go to Randy Johnson, Star Tribune.
Yeah, hi, PJ. What do you feel about Tanner's play tonight? How do you feel he came out of the game?
I think there was some really good. I think there was some really bad. I think there was some inconsistency. But, the fumble's not necessarily on him, except there's a few different reads that we've got to make better. I didn't think we protected well tonight. I'm going to go back through and look at the protection. But again, nobody protects really well. I think the one team that protected really well against Michigan was Alabama and Ohio State. I think those are the two people I've watched protect well against that front, against the Don Brown defense. They're very difficult because, again, you're planning for what you think and what you see is very different. And they play hard, and they've got great players. And there was a point in the game that I thought we could possibly get it going back with the sky kick, and it was fumbled, and that's the one. And you need plays like that. You need an interception from somebody. You need a fumble like that, and we needed that. And we weren't able to get it. I thought if we could get that, we had an opportunity. But when you look at Tanner, I thought it was inconsistent. I wouldn't call it bad. I wouldn't call it great. I would call it just inconsistent. And I know he wants to be a lot better, but there was a lot on got to give Michigan credit. That's what they do. I said that in the beginning. What's going to be the issue for this is Don Brown's defense does everything they can to confuse the quarterback. And with no game data, that's very difficult. And, we weren't able to execute well enough.
And just a reminder, send a message in chat if you have a question. We'll go to Daniel House.
Hey, Coach, with so much to clean up after this game, where do you start on a short week here?
Well, we're going to spend a lot of time. We'll be in the office early tomorrow morning, and we're going to get right on the film, even tonight. And then we're going to have a long meeting with them. It's going to be more a long meeting, do a walkthrough, and then get them out of there. Get their bodies healed. There's no use crying over spilled milk. This one's over. It's done with. We went 0-1 in the Michigan season. We got a chance to go 1-0 in the Maryland season. That's all going to be our focus, leaving that facility tomorrow night because Monday is a Tuesday practice. You guys haven't asked me. The block punt was pretty good. That was fun. I guess not.
Coach, I don't see, I actually see one more question from John Krasinski. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, PJ, I just wonder what do you try to build off of when, a game is this lopsided? I mean, you did have the block punt. You had Rashad Bateman had a nice game. I mean, how do you kind of go forward with some positivity after, a disappointing start here?
That's a really good football team we just played. And I don't think, when you look at the score, I felt like we were always in that game, maybe until the last 5 minutes. Like I felt there was something that we could do, and we just didn't take advantage of it. We're driving down, we're inside the 5. We've got to go for it on 4th down. We score there, it's 31 points, and then you never know how it shapes up. It could have been 49-38 at some point. Does that make it better or worse? No. We had to do what we had to do to find a way to score points, to go win the game, in a very, very strange game to be able to call. And again, like I said, it's things that 2020 is bringing up that maybe changed a little bit of your philosophy that you have to be able to roll with. I've never seen anything like it in college football with that many specialists out and other guys out, right? All up until the kickoff. But that's what the rapid testing does. And the good thing about rapid testing is it has a safe playing field. The bad thing about rapid testing is, right, one guy tests positive, no matter what it is, whether it's false positive or not, on game day, he's out. So again, and if they're out prior to that, it's 3 weeks. That's difficult. We're rebuilding every single year. We're doing everything we can to reload every single year. And we got a lot of young players that have to step in. But this was good for them. You asked, what are we going to do? This was the loss could be the greatest thing that happened to us. And my message to them in the locker room is the loss to Michigan and the way it was could be the best thing that happened to us in 2020. That was my message. How do you move forward? That's how you move forward. Because we've got a lot to learn. We got a lot to grow from. And we did it against one of the best teams in America. So we got a lot to work on. We coach for a living, right? And we'll go back to that tomorrow morning.
All right, we'll take 2 more questions. I'll go Daniel House and then Andy Greeter. Go ahead, Daniel.
Hey, Coach, Mo had 140 yards rushing tonight, the offensive line. How'd you think that Mo and the O-line did on the ground tonight?
Oh, I thought they did really well. That's a really good front. That's a really good front seven. They're not the biggest linebacking core we face, but they might be one of the fastest. That defense is fast. Up front, they're fast. They're long. They're athletic. Their linebackers can run sideline to sideline. They tackle well. They're aggressive. But I thought, Mo having 140 yards, we need that. We need that. We also need that, we need to be able to play action pass a little bit more and protect. And I thought the protection was maybe the part that really was our Achilles heel tonight. Because when we did have to be able to play action pass, or we did have to RPO, or we missed a block, and we got Tanner hit. And that's, you can't have those things. So, but I thought for the most part, the running scheme, I thought was really good. Really good. But we've got to make sure it was just more consistent across the board.
All right, let's wrap up with Andy Greeter.
Coach, can you walk us through the other linebacker spot next to Mariano and what Cody showed to get the start?
Yeah, it's up for grabs. Andy, if somebody would have been able to drive forward and take that job in that 4-week training camp we had, because, again, there's a lot of unknowns. With Braylon Oliver out, that was hard because we knew that was Braylon and Mariano. Then he leaves, and then everybody else behind him is guys who haven't played yet. And so when you look at that, it's who's the best and who's the most ready and who can be able to learn as we go and who's going to make the least amount of mistakes. Who's going to limit the bleeding? Whose mistake's not going to be as catastrophic? And that's how that is. You might be looking at me saying like, well, that's not a great way to make a decision. Exactly, because they're really young and inexperienced. But times like this and games like this are going to help those guys get a lot better. And we put a lot of them in there tonight, whether it was Josh Awney, whether it was, Donald, whether it was Cody Lindenberg. These are guys, Gopher fans are probably like, who? Except for Cody, because he's an in-state kid. So, we've got to get better. We've got to improve between this game and the next game. But, we can. The good thing is we can improve on the things that we saw tonight. That's the good thing. We can improve on the things that we saw tonight. And I'm really excited about tomorrow, getting back to work.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it greatly.
Yeah.
We'll have Tanner Morgan, Mohamed Ibrahim, and Mariano Marin up here in a moment. So thank you very much, Coach.
Row the boat, Sky Mile, go Gophers. Thank you.